Unit 1, Exploring Symbols. Activity 1. Rabindranath Tagore was born in Calcutta in 1861. He is the poet who wrote India's national anthem, and he won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1913. Tagore started to write poetry when he was only 8 years old, and he published his first poem when he was only 16. For this, Tagore did not use his real name. He used a pen name Bhanu Simha, meant sun lion. See, Rabindranath Tagore, he was born in Calcutta and he was a scholar. He was a Nobel laureate who won the Nobel Prize in Literature. He was writing poetry since he was 8 years old, and he used a pen name for when he published his poetry, right? Bhanu Simha. Now, what is a pen name? Pen name means any name that you want to choose for yourself. Many authors and poets, they do this to hide their identity sometimes, and sometimes they do not want to uh, give their real name to the readers. So sometimes they use this kind of another name for themselves. And many poets and authors, they become famous, popular by their pen name, and many times people do not know their real names. So here you have to think, if you publish a story or a poem, what pen name would you choose? Okay, so think about it, and you can write, you can choose any sort of pen name. Okay, let's move on to the next activity. This is a poem written by Rabindranath Tagore, and the title of the poem is Where the Mind is Without Fear. You can see here a symbolic picture has been given. Rabindranath Tagore is there in the photograph, and there is a girl child. She is sitting here. Let's read the poem first, and then I'll explain you the meaning. Where the mind is without fear. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high, where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls, where words come out from the depth of the truth, where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection, where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom. My Father, let my country awake. Now, this poetry is actually a prayer to God for a nation where its citizens are free from fear, ignorance, and division. Okay, so this is a prayer actually where Rabindranath, he is praying to God, Lord Almighty, that he wants this kind of India, this sort of India. The poem envisions a society where knowledge is freely accessible, reason prevails, and people are united in their pursuit of truth and perfection. Okay, so here Rabindranath Tagore, he is asking to live in a kind of place where the mind is without fear. People are not fearful, people are not scared of anybody, and they can walk with the head held high. They can walk with pride, they can walk with self-respect in that country. They can live with a lot of self-respect in that country where knowledge is free. He is emphasizing that the education is so important, and the knowledge should be free. People should be free to exchange their ideas rather than knowledge being restricted by social barriers. Then he also talks about the society where people are not divided by narrow-mindedness or prejudice, but are united in the pursuit of truth. Okay, Then where tireless striving stretches its arms. So tireless means people do not get exhausted, people do not get tired, but they are constantly uh, trying, constantly striving for perfection. Okay, then where the clear stream of vision has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. Means the need for reason. People do not believe people are not superstitious. They don't have they don't keep blind faith, but they reason everything. Whatever they do, they reason everything and then they take the action. This is what Tagore wants. And then he also expresses a desire for a nation that is constantly striving for improvement and perfection. So basically, the poem is a powerful vision of an ideal nation where the human spirit is liberated and allowed to flourish. So he wants to see an India like this. See, this poetry was written about 100 years back from now, right? And that was the time when there was British rule in India. People were people were living in lot of poverty, and they were suppressed. They uh, they were not free to speak their mind, and there were many other social evils in the society. So he actually imagines in an India, uh, a beautiful, beautiful sort of India where people live without fear, people are knowledgeable, intellectuals, and there are no social uh, barriers, no bad customs, and people live in unity. Now let's move on to the next activity. Here, see, these are the words given to you. You have to join them. Fragments means pieces broken off or detached from a complete portion. Striving. To strive means to labor hard. Dreary. Here, dreary is cheerless. Domestic. Domestic means related to family affairs. Tireless, without rest or sleep. And desert. Desert is a waterless or isolated area or land. Now see, where the mind is without fear, where the poet is talking to someone, what words help you to understand whom the poet is talking to? So you know that he is talking to Lord God Almighty, my Father, his Father in heaven. Now the subject of the fourth line, where the mind is, see, all these lines are starting with where. So here subject of the fourth line is also where. He is talking about a place, he is talking about the land, talking about the country where all these things all this kind of good things he want. The poem says where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way. So here the poet is talking about that people do not believe in blind faith. People don't keep blind faith. They are not superstitious. They don't believe in stupid sort of customs, but they think about those things and they reason those things. They reason about that and then they follow their heart. So the people's thinking capacity or their thinking ability should not get lost. Now see, exploring symbols, let's see what is a symbol. A symbol is a word, image or object that represents something else, just as sun lion represented Tagore and your pen name represents you. So symbols are very common in poetry and stories, and Tagore used them often. Now here he tells us that the reason is a stream. So Tagore thinks of a reason as if it is a stream. The stream is a symbol for reason. And what is the other line he uses as a symbol? So a symbol in this way, so you have to find that out. Now see, he wrote India's national anthem, and it is very much loved. We sing it in our schools every single day, right? There are many other symbols of India. They are loved by people. So let's find out, like, do you know what is the national bird of India? Yes, it is peacock. The tree, that is a banyan tree. Game, our national game is hockey. And then national fruit is mango. National emblem, flag, the tricolor. Emblem, Ashok Chakra. I mean the Ashoka's 3 lions. And think about all the other symbols of India. Okay, there is one nice story about the fox and the rabbit has been given here, and this is also about the symbols. Let's read the story first. There was once a very clever fox who loved to brag of his cleverness. One day he said to the rabbit, "I'm so clever," he said, "that I know 100 ways to escape enemies." "Wow," the rabbit said, "I have only one, but it works well." The fox said, "You should listen to me. I'll teach you many, many more. You should know many ways to escape like I do." Now see, the fox and the rabbit, they are talking, and the fox, he brags about his cleverness. Okay, the fox thinks that he is very intelligent. He is very intelligent and he is very smart. He is brilliant, and he is telling that to rabbit. Actually, he is saying that, "Oh, see, I'm so clever, and I know if the enemy comes, how to run away, and I know 100 ways. I know hundreds, 100 ways. If enemy comes, I'll run away." So rabbit was, he said, "Wow, I know only one way, but you know 100. That's very good." And fox is trying to teach. "Let me teach you. I'll tell you." But when they were talking about this, just at that moment, the fox and the rabbit, they heard the cry of a pack of hunters coming towards them. Immediately, the rabbit leaped down his hole and was gone. He called back to fox, "This is my plan. What are you going to do?" The fox thought first of one way, then another. Then he thought of a better way. Then he considered another way, and while he was thinking of all his clever choices, the hunters caught him up, and he was soon carried off. So what happens, as soon as they heard the cry of hunters, then they came to know that, oh, the hunters are coming here to catch us, and immediately the rabbit leaped down to his burrow, right? And he was gone. He knew only one way, and that one way he followed. But the fox, he kept on thinking. He said what he should do, he should be doing. He think of a way, and then he thinks that no, that's not a good way. So he thinks of another, and then he thinks, no, that is also not a good one. Let me think of another. So he kept on thinking of the ways to escape the enemies, but he could not actually implement that. He could not put it into practice, and that is the reason by the time he chooses a way and follow it, before that the hunters came there, and they caught him up. So the fox was, even though he was very intelligent and he knew 100 ways of escape the enemies, but still he was caught. So see, one activity 9 now. One way that we know that the fox and the rabbit are symbols is because they do not represent real foxes or rabbits, because the real foxes and rabbits, they don't talk this way, right? When something is not symbolic, when it is only represent exactly what is what it is in real life and nothing else. We say it has its literal meaning. Literal, literary, and literature are all related to the word for letters, for words. The literal meaning of a word is its exact factual meaning. For example, if your friend says, I'm dead tired, you know that your friend is not literally dead, because he's alive, right? But it is a way of saying that, to show that, oh, I'm too tired. The people say that I'm dead tired, right? So here, fox and rabbit stories are not literally about foxes and rabbits. Real foxes and rabbits don't talk that way. But see, they represent some people in life, right? A person, a proudy person, or and another, like the humble person, so they represent the people in real life. So see, what kind of person might act the way a fox does? What kind of person or characteristic of a person might the rabbit represents? Okay. So is the rabbit clever or foolish? Now what do you think of the fox and the rabbit? Was the rabbit clever or was the fox clever? Right? Who was foolish out of them? And who was brave or who was cowardly? Okay, one last story in this chapter, that is about Akbar and Birbal. See, one night Emperor Akbar dreamt that he had lost all his teeth except one. The next morning he invited all the astrologers of his kingdom to interpret his dream. See what happens. King Akbar or Emperor Akbar, okay, he had a dream at night and he saw that all his teeth were gone. He lost all his teeth, but only one tooth was there in his mouth. Okay. So the next morning he was worried. He was curious to know that what does this dream mean. So obviously he invites the astrologers. Now you know that Akbar had Navratnas in his court, in his darbar, right? And they were like, he also had astrologers in his kingdom. Astrologers, they normally prophesy about your future. Okay, sometimes they look at your horoscope, sometimes they look at your forehead, sometimes they look at your palm, the lines in your palm, and then they prophesy that what's going to happen to you in future. So he invited all the astrologers of his kingdom and he asked them, what's the meaning of this dream? So after a long discussion, the astrologers prophesied that all his relatives would die before him. So astrologer said, see, the meaning of this, that all your relatives are going to die before you die. Now Emperor Akbar was very upset by this interpretation and so sent away all the astrologers without any reward. Obviously, see, they prophesied something. By listening to that, Akbar felt very disappointed. He was very upset, right? And that's the reason, normally when you go to the king and when you do something, when you tell him something, when you interpret his dream, he should give you some reward, some money or some kind of gifts. But Akbar sent them all back without giving them any reward. So later that day, Birbal entered the darbar. Emperor Akbar related his dream and asked him to interpret it. After thinking for a while, Birbal replied that the emperor would live a longer and more fulfilled life than any of his relatives. Emperor Akbar was pleased with Birbal's explanation and rewarded him handsomely. So see, Birbal thought about the dream and he told Akbar the same thing what the astrologer said, but he told it in a different way. Okay, he told Akbar that he is going to live longer and more fulfilled life than any of his relatives, and this made Akbar really happy. So this is why Akbar gave Birbal a reward. Okay, so here he rewarded him handsomely. Handsome is a word used for your salary, for a gift. No, normally it refers to money. Okay, so that's all for this chapter 1, and I think I have explained you all the main points here. So if you like it, then please like and subscribe this channel. That's all.